More new Dreadnoughts.
Spiky bits.
Have I ever mentioned how much I love big stompy robots in Warhammer 40k? I think big stompy robots is kind of what makes 40k, to be quite honest. I mean, just think back to the first thing you saw for 40k. Like, what for 40k? Was it the dudes on the table? Probably not. Was it like a vehicle? Or was it like Dreadnoughts or like Knights or Titans? I always feel like that's what really brings people into the game. So that's why this week's release is really exciting for me personally. So first up, we've got the new Contemptor, which is a little bit different of a configuration than what came in the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness starter box, and the Leviathan Siege Dreadnought with ranged weapons. Now, we talked about this a little bit about the paywall and things like that, about how Games Workshop put out these sprues ahead of time. With the close combat weapon sprue for the Leviathan itself, you could purchase that. And then they also put these sprues on sale individually when they hit pre-order over on Games Workshop site. Unfortunately, they sold out. So we know they're like reverse paywall, which in actuality, it's what they used to do. They used to sell all these upgrade sprues and things, and they got away from it. And now with these, they offered it. And with the sellout, I just think, people are just very much into this, buying the extra sprue so they don't have to buy two whole kits, so they can have both. So if you bought the Leviathan with close combat weapons, then you can get the shooty sprue and you don't have to buy another whole Leviathan. And it's no sweat off GW's back either, because they charge a little bit of a premium for the sprue. I think if you do the math on it, like this one's 80 and this one's 60, so you get 4 sprues in here, I want to say, so it's $20 a sprue. They charge 27 for the sprue. This one I think was a little cheaper, but I think it's also 4 sprues. So maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was 27. I don't have the information there. I apologize. But either way, they're kind of still charging a little bit of a premium on the sprue still. But what's better? Spending, a little bit more than $100 to get both variants, or spending, double kits? I feel like in this economic climate, you just can't. It's really tough to do double kits. You know what I'm saying? So either way, that's the breakdown of pricing and what's going to come in each side of these boxes. Now, let's get them open and take a closer look at both. Let's do the Leviathan first, because I'm going to be honest with you, we already saw this. We saw the close combat weapon one. I still don't like these little instructions. 80mm base. This is the new sprue here. This is what was selling for 27 on their site. Hopefully they get more back in stock so folks can pick it up. And then these are the sprues we already saw in our last unboxing video, which I should link around in here somewhere, hopefully. And let me tell you what, I do like the detail, and I do like that it's easier to actually put them together, but being in plastic has made both these and the Sicaran a lot more laborious to put together, which isn't a bad look in any regards, because if you're a 40k hobbyist, you're already used to putting plastic stuff together. But I do want to mention that it doesn't go together as quick as before with the resin stuff. So here's the instructions, and again, this is a smaller text, smaller font, so dry fit everything. Gotta you might have to get out the magnifiers or wear your readers depending on what vintage of hobbyist you are, I suppose. I do not like this. I like the full color pamphlet. I like where they flip it around and they show you everything. But if you put together the first Leviathan, there's nothing different here, or the plastic one rather. There's really nothing different here than what you're used to. The only thing I'd like to recommend is don't glue down this section right here, this top armor plate, so that we can put a magnet underneath it, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes, which magnet to use so that you can magnetize that Phosphex launcher. And then here, I talked about this last time, and I'm not really going to talk about it until I actually show you the sprues itself, but about how there was pre-magnetized holes and then there kind of wasn't. Now over here, here's the Graviflux Bombard, and like I was saying, definitely more laborious and tedious to put together. Look at all those identical parts just to make this huge assembly right here. The Cyclonic Melt-a-Lance kind of goes together a little atypically. It looks like this. Halves of these muzzles point outwards, and then you put this bracket in here, and then the two halves go together, and then you cap them with the other side of the muzzle. It's kind of atypical, and maybe might take getting used to. Over here on the Storm Cannon, this bit that attaches to the top arm also needs to get glued in here, but from the inside out, these barrels go on. So don't glue this down until you put these pieces in here. You might be sorry and not be able to reach it. From there, you can decide, you know, how the position and everything you want them to go, and then the top Phosphex launcher. But we've magnetized that in the past, and I'll show you all of that here in a second as well. Let's jump over to the Contemptor kit and then put them together. Next up is the Contemptor Dreadnought here, and like I was saying, this is a different configuration than what came in the starter box here. So instead of 2 sprues, it's going to come with an extra ranged weapon sprue right here, which is really interesting because it's got the carries, it's got the conversion beamer, it's got an extra punchy fist, a plasma, these 3 fronts right here as well, so you can have a really cool relic looking, and it's got this little tabard tassel squiggle thing right here that you can put on the front as well if you just want to spruce up perhaps the one that you might have from the Horus Heresy starter set right here that just has the blank front, so you can do that as well. So that's kind of interesting too. And it also has the cooler head right there with the laurels on it. But on all the parts for the punchy fist, all the like internal pew pew weapons and the ammo feeds. I also really like these little chain fist bits here that attach either left or right depending on which, you know, way you want to position your stuff, or you can use them on both now that you have this. We showed you the rest during our other unboxing build for the Heresy box itself, so we're not really going to go over that, but we can check it out in the instructions here, which we're going to have to zoom out just a smidge because I zoomed in for the box. Silly me. And again, you know, get your readers out. The print is a bit small on here, but it's not unreadable. If you've put the plastic one together from the starter set, this is all very familiar to you. No real gotchas right here, but depending on what you want to do with magnets and stuff, you might want to wait right here and magnetize the torso. Ours, we did it so he pivots at the waist, but you don't necessarily need to do that. You actually don't have to use a whole lot of magnets on this guy at all, to be quite honest. But we'll show you that here in a second. Oh, and I didn't see that there was a little heraldry. Not only is the little squiggles, but there's also the heraldry plates, which are kind of cool too. And then they show you how to put the all the extra weapons here, like the conversion beamer is pretty wild looking. When it comes to plastic, everything's more complicated. Like all bets are off when it comes to that. The Volkite as well. And then the carries assault cannon. It doesn't look like it comes drilled out with the barrels, so you might have to do that yourself. And then the Gravis plasma cannons are good to go. This will, I think it actually does come with 2 sets of, yeah, it's going to come with 2 sets of those little notches right there. So if you wanted to go ahead and magnetize and make 4 sets of weapons, you could put magnets in the top right here if you wanted to. But the way we put it together, we didn't quite do that on this one. But there is going to end up being 2 sets of those. You can see there's one here on the sprue from the Heresy starter and one in here too. So that's kind of neat to see. So in theory, depending on what you want to do, you could magnetize 4 different sets of weapons, or I'll show you how to do it without any magnets, because, I mean, if you don't have to use magnets, let's just not use magnets. So here it is, all put together. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I cheated. I just used the one I already had assembled, so I didn't have to do a whole lot of work, because there's a lot of videos to make this week. But here you can see what I was talking about a little bit, and right here, you don't need to even magnetize or anything like that. Just take a little bit of your super thin Tamiya cement, and just while you're building it, just put a coat, you know, every now and then just put an extra coat on here so you build out the thickness and the width here, so the tolerance will actually hold all of those weapons right there, and you can bend them and pose them and do all sorts of things with them, and you don't have to worry about them falling off. Now, I did magnetize this at the waist right here, and I believe this is a 5/16 by 1/16 inch magnet. Just drilled that out. Not super necessary, but it's just very cool looking to pose them and go pew pew. And then in the top here, we also used a 1/4 inch magnet, and also put a larger 5/16 inch magnet in the top right here, just so it would attract through the plastic, because I always worry about that. It is a little strong, but you know, not too bad, not like, you know, obnoxious strong kind of way. So all of these weapons now will go on here, and then this is what the chain fist will look like. I just blue tacked it on there just to show you, but that looks pretty cool as well. And then you can, what else do we make? Oh, this conversion beamer is really cool. I like how they did this and designed it and everything. It's wild how you put it together, but just follow the instructions and it'll be fine. There's no real gotchas. And then there's that right there. And then let's put something on. Oh, the plasma cannon. Sure, yeah, let's do the plasma cannon. Just lock that in right there. So yeah, I mean, not very easy to get together, and you don't have to do a whole lot of extra work for that right there. And let's take a look and see how the Leviathan fared. So this is what I was kind of talking about with the magnetization here. Now GW does on the inside of this bit leave you room for what appears to be, I believe, a 1 millimeter thickness, excuse me, magnet there, and that's just not going to work. Now I didn't mention this last time, but Magnet Baron made a magnetization kit for the Leviathans. I personally like these 1/4 inch by 1/16 inch, which is what is that, 6 millimeters by 1.5 millimeters. So it's a little bit thicker than the inside of this, which I knew wasn't going to work. And yeah, I just kind of ranted about it because it's just a really poor design by Games Workshop, and I didn't get why they left a spot there. They made this weird spot on the inside that only held a 1 millimeter magnet, and these are great because you can literally magnetize those right there, and all you need for that is 8 of 1/16 by 1/32, and then just 2 1/4 inch by 1/32 that goes in there, which they'll still go in these weapons that we just have right here. But the funny thing is, you see this bit right here, you get an extra one of these on that sprue. So if you already have your Dreadnought close combat weapon one built and you buy the extra sprue, you're going to have 2 of these now. So in theory, you don't even have to magnetize the second one if you don't want to, if you're using it for the same Dreadnought. If you have 2 different Dreadnoughts, you're going to have to magnetize this with that 1/4 inch by 1/32 inch magnet there. And then in the top, like I said, we put 1/4 inch by 1/16. I put 2 in there because I wasn't sure how much these weighed, and I think 2 was the right way to do it. So just kind of keep that in mind. Sometimes GW doesn't know the widths and the polarities, and you can't have that small of a magnet attracting through plastic. So just be aware of that right there. And check it all out over on Magnet Baron. He's got the kits and all the readouts and everything on all the magnets. I think he has a description of the video over there too that we did. And then up top here, I left this off one last time. We put a larger magnet in there, a 5/16 by 1/16 inch magnet. And then on the inside of this, another 5/16 by 1/16 inch magnet fits perfectly in there. You really don't even have to glue it. As long as you glue the Foxfex launcher stuff together around it, it fits kind of swimmingly. So that all worked out pretty good. The posing is a little bit different because this was the close combat weapon one, and but it is what it is there. And I did want to show you this here on the Melta Lance thing, Cyclic Melta Lance Stinger. You assemble these halves, and then you come back and you put these halves on from the outside. So it's a little atypical, like I was saying. So just be aware, it doesn't quite make sense when you're doing it, but it all kind of comes together. And then here's that really cool Gravflux Bombard, and each one of these little bits here is its own piece. It's wild. And then on the inside, you have to actually clip out all the bits, so there's a big hollow cavity in there. It's just really cool to see this when something like this from Forge was like basically one piece, I think, for the most part, and this is like so many pieces. It literally takes up like a quarter of the sprue. But I'd much rather have stuff in plastic than resin if I had my choice when it comes to this kind of size. But once you get bigger, you definitely want to go with resin. It's a little bit tougher to line it all up and keep it together, but it's a lot easier to work with at that scale, I feel like. So that pretty much is it for this one. Check out Magnet Baron, of course, for all of his magnet packs and magnet upgrades and stuff. And he's got these cool new, I forget what he calls them. They're basically to apply magnets. So like, if you're trying to, and of course I don't have any magnets around here. If you're trying to, here we go. So if you're trying to just put some glue on something and then stick a magnet onto it and not stick your fingers and things, you can do this, and as soon as the glue grips, you can pull it apart. And then of course there's one for each polarity, so you can kind of keep it straight. This is a neat little tool. I thought was neat. Probably a little too old to change my ways, but maybe some of you out there would be interested in something like this. I thought it was kind of neat. And there is a discount code in the description and also in the comments to get 10% off. If you punch that in, you'll get 10% off your order. Not really a sponsored post per se. He just always sends me stuff when I ask. So, and I like promoting him because he does good things for the hobby. So this is basically what his packs look like right there. But yeah, definitely check him out and, you know, save 10% because he gave me a little coupon code. So we'll pass on the savings and pay it all hobby forward. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching our unbox and build / semi-magnetization of the new Contemptor and Leviathan Dreadnought from Games Workshop. And don't forget, you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com, Amazon, or hopefully also your local game store. If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/spikybits.